I know your question. Would you like me just to answer it? Amazing. No worries. It's all good. I have a slide for you. Bear with me. Here we go. I think this is what you're asking. They will have started the year with, Zach, can you ask one of Ops or any of our team? I need someone on the mic to call time, please, thank you. So, in terms of, thank you, Maddy, in terms of Jason and Michelle, they will have had some operating capital. And it varies. I know them well. I've been working with them for 5 years in my group program. They've never been a one-to-one client. They've paid me 49 plus VAT. They've only ever been in my group program. I know that they range, depending on if they've just sold a property or if they've just bought a few properties, their cash flow probably drops as low as 10 grand. So that's all the money in all their bank accounts probably drops as low as 10. And by the way, this is a muscle. You know, the first time you go to the gym, you're like, oh, shy, you know, what should I do? And then you strut in because you go in every week and you know exactly what you're doing, etc. You might think, and Lindsay, we're having this conversation in the Q&A, and you're like, well, I need at least this much, which I won't show you the numbers, but it was more than that. But this is a comfort, a level of comfort. By the way, I operate optimally, as in the most profitable for me is at about 3% of my net worth liquid. And I drop as low as 1%, which is a bit too close for comfort, but it's when I'm really investing in loans and I'm moving money from here to here to buy properties. And if I get up to 10%, I start having sleepless nights because I'm burning money. I've literally got a bank balance that is being eroded by inflation. If you've got a chunk of money in the bank, and it's not earning you 50% in property, then it's a waste. It's an absolute waste. And so I'm either buying businesses, investing in businesses, or I'm investing in property. And the rest should just be coming into my bank account and going back out. I should be investing as much as possible. So I know they drop as low as about 10, and I doubt very much that they ever go above 100, Lindsay. And that's because as soon as it builds up like me, I've trained them to get uncomfortable with having cash. Cash is rubbish. Cash just gets eroded by inflation. I'm going to finish answering your first question, thanks. And Lindsay needs a mic, please, Josh. So that's what they're ranging between, and that's cool, that's healthy. And the way they do that, the way they've gone from, let's say they're 20 grand at the start of the year, I don't know what it is, the way they've gone from 20 grand, and it's irrelevant by the way, if they're 10 grand or 100, it makes no odds. Whether they have 10 grand or 100 grand right now, and I promise you they haven't got 300 in the bank, I suspect it's between 10 and 30, knowing them, because they're aggressive. That doesn't make a difference. That doesn't mean they could buy 30 this year, they could buy 5 this year. It won't be dictated by how much money they have. But I bet most of the questions yesterday was, how do I get the money? How do I get the money? What if I don't know finance investors? Find the deal, and the money follows. Now, that's really easy to say, and very few novice investors believe it. But it's so true. Ask Maddy about it later. Maddy's never found a deal and not been able to fund it. She has complete faith in the fact that if she does a good enough deal, the money just arrives. And it does. Do you know why? Because when you're in this kind of an environment, you can stand up and go, hey guys, I've got a deal. I did that. I said, Maddy, I've got a deal, 35 properties. I'd like you to negotiate it, I'd like to babysit, I'd like to manage it afterwards, I'll give you half the deal. She was like, yeah, I'm in. 6 years ago, Maddy and I did the 26 properties in Bedford. You can ask her about these deals. I said, Maddy, I've got this vendor. Half of the deal is yours. Half of the 26 flats in Bedford, there's a million, 1.1 million pound discount. Half of it's yours if you go and fund it. Before working with me, Maddy had never raised any money. She said, Frank, I'm on it. I'll raise £700,000 to do this deal. Now, that wasn't in the first week of working with me. But that's the level of belief you will get to when you start doing deals and when you put yourself in an environment of people who are doing deals month in and month out. You are the average of the 5 people you spend most of your time with. So unless you're spending time with property investors, sophisticated property investors, if you spend time with property investors, you start believing. Your belief today is probably the highest it's ever been in your life in terms of being able to do sophisticated deals. Because you just spent 12 hours yesterday in a room with me, chatting to Josh, chatting to my investment team. Today you're going to spend time with Maddy, and me, and Josh, and the team, and your belief will go up. Or you surround yourself with people who've never done a sophisticated deal in their life and keep telling you it's not possible. Well, guess where you're going to end up? You're either going to drop down to here, or you're going to rise up to here. There's no kind of doing deals. You remember level 4 investors yesterday? How many sophisticated deals do they do? 0. You can be 80% of the way to a level 5 investor. 80% do no deals. You can't half do this. You either commit, you take action, you have belief, and then you do 17 deals, add $250,000 to your net worth, $4 grand a month in 1 year. And by the way, what was the 8th wonder of the world? Compounding. Imagine doing 17 deals this year, 2026, and then imagine doing another only 10 next year because it's harder. And then maybe it's a really frothy year, you only do 6. 17, 10 and 6. Where's Alistair when you need him? 33? 33 properties in 3 years. That's easy. Maddy. I love it. Good morning. Lovely to see you. How many years have we been working together, please? Nearly 11 years. So 10 and 3/4 years. How many properties do you own today? Own or control?
So, yeah, control to, well, sorry, 135, 240 LSPs.
How many, sorry?
240.
So she's got 240 tenancies in 10 and 3/4 years. Give her a round of applause. That's what's possible. And how many did you have when we started working together?
One.
None. Maddy was level 1. She was unaware of sophisticated investing. And she's got 240 tenants now. 100 and how many properties? 135 properties, obviously some of those HMOs with loads of tenants in them. 135 properties in 10 years. That's more than 1 a month for a decade. That's the and when I stand there and I go, what if they do 17? What if you do 17? And what if you do 10? And what if you do 6? And we get to 33 in 3 years. You go, well, those are just made up numbers. No, Maddy's done 36 in that time. She's averaging more than 1 a month for a decade. And have a chat with Maddy. There's nothing special about Maddy. Love you, Josh. Love you, Maddy. But seriously, they don't put on a cake. Like they haven't got an IQ of 150. They didn't turn up £1 million. They didn't have a property portfolio. And you can go, oh, you know, Josh lives in Scarborough, that's lucky. Or, well, Maddy was in her 40s when she started, and I'm 60, or I'm 20, or she lives in Northampton, that's lucky, or she knew lots of people because she's in a Christian community. You can get below the line. You can really dig down as hard as you want to get below the line and make excuses for why you're not going to do this. But believe me, they're just that. They're excuses. If you really want to do this, if you want to do that, you absolutely can. All of you. Not all of you will. Loads of you will get to that junction and will go, I'm going to go down the vehicle route. I'm just going to stay where it's safe, where I know. I'm going to stay in my comfort zone. This has been a really enjoyable 3 days, but I think I'll just keep my powder dry. I have people say that, I'm going to keep my powder dry. And I've gone back to them, sometimes I bump into them. 5 years later, yeah, it's not the right time. No, the right time was 5 fucking years ago. But some of you will never buy a property. After all of this, you'll never buy a property. And I can't make it, just like my 15-year-old students that I really wanted to help 18 years ago. But if you choose, it's a choice. If you choose to do it, I'll tell you what, Maddy and Josh have in common, and most of my successful clients, commitment. You can commit to do this, and then the tenacity to follow your commitment. It's really easy to get excited. Yeah, I'm going to do it. Yeah. Right, what's on Netflix? Now that's easy. That's what 99% of the population do. And that's why 99% of the population can't live 60 days without a paycheck. That's why, I don't know if you know the stats, a fraction of the population own a buy-to-let property, and a fraction of landlords own more than 4 properties. That's because most are accidental, most are traditional. If you get to 5 properties, I've got stats I might have time to share with you on the 3 days. If you get to 5 properties, you are in the 0.01% of the population. 5, just 5. Jason's done 17 last year. I am bringing you all the way to this beautiful oasis of water in the middle of the desert. And I'm saying to you, just have a little drink. I am calling you a horse. I don't take offence. It's up to you though. It's up to you as to whether you actually take it. I gave you my leaflet yesterday. And some of you will never deliver a leaflet. And that's a shame. But those of you that choose to, boom, start doing deals. Lindsay, you said, how are they doing this? The definition of sophisticated purchase is a purchase where we own the property without ever putting any of our own money into it. And that's because it's either the vendor's money, which is what you said, Lindsay, it's investor money, you borrow money from an individual, bridging finance, as in you've gone to a company, they lend the money, term finance, that's a mortgage, a regular buy-to-let mortgage, or even the tenant's money. You take something called rent to buy, when tenants give the money to buy the property, etc., etc. So it's just being creative. But we don't start with financing. We start with a motivated vendor, and then if you decide you need the money before you do anything, well, who's going to give you money for something you don't know what you're buying? It's like impossible. It's like, I'd like you to invest in me, but I don't know what I'm doing yet. I should go on Dragon's Den and doing that. I want you to invest. I don't know what the idea is. I think it's going to be a great property, but yeah, I just need the money first. Compared to, I've got a motivated vendor who wants to do a deal. They need to sell their property. I've structured it this way. And the first bit is you work out what the 5 steps. Remember, the first one is control the property, then finance it. You finance it after you found the problem, and then solving the problem, control how you're going to control it, how you're going to finance it, how you're going to monetize it. That's the cake, and I'm going to come on to that a lot. You didn't know that already. I covered it yesterday, but I covered it very quickly. So, that's the definition of a sophisticated purchase. Now, bear with me. That's the 70 mile an hour definition. That's me going, this is the perfect deal, where you put none of your own money in. But actually, that's not the rule. That's what we're aiming for. The rule is actually you can put money in so long as you get it back in how many months? 24. 24, which is not bad, okay? That's not. But what I'm doing is I'm sharing this with you because when you go from driving on an urban road at 20 miles an hour and you go onto a motorway at 70, it feels really fast. It's like, wow, I'm going really fast. But then when you hit traffic like this and they do the variable speed limits, I always get caught out by those. because the Tesla can't read the variable speed limits. That thinks we're still at 70 now. Then it drops down to 50. 50 feels really slow. But actually you're still going twice as fast as you were before, 20. That is what I'm doing here. So I'm going, look, that's the optimal, is where you put no money in. But if you do put a bit of money in and you get it out in 24 months, happy days. Does that make sense? Now that looks really easy to do, and it is really easy to do. Lindsay, that was why I wanted to share that slide. You had a follow-up question, I believe. You've got it. Have I answered? Me. Good. So, any other questions about Jason's year? Let's move on then. Yesterday, this striking young man came up on stage, and interestingly, and it was a bit of a test for you. Keep a mic, mate, because I might make a mistake. Interestingly, no one asked the question I thought you'd ask, and it was a bit of a test. No one asked, how did you, so he bought 27 properties in the last 18 months. And no one asked, how did you do the 5 in 8 days in December? And I was surprised by that, so I've created a slide. I didn't have a slide, I did this last night. So that's Josh. Joint venture with him last month. This is last month. And one of my sayings is never employ the most expensive mentor in the world. Who's the most expensive mentor in the world? Us. If you employ the most expensive mentor in the world, and by the way, you always have a mentor. You either pay a third party, someone else, or you're employing yourself. And the reason I'm never without a mentor is because I was messaging my mentor last night, bouncing a couple ideas. I've had messages back from them this morning. I always have normally at least 2, and sometimes as many as 3 or 4. Because if I don't have any, and I have at times had no mentors, I'm reliant on testing and measuring. Trial and error, making mistakes. And every mistake, imagine if you lose one of those deals. Imagine if I'd lost the 35 property deal that Maddy and I are doing now. I feel terrible. Like the cost of that. We worked out, it's here, it's on the, look, there's the wedge. That 35 property deal, we worked out, he's going to pay me £1 million cash, or me and Maddy, £1 million cash and £3.6 million in equity over 15 years. Well, I promise you, none of my mentors have cost me £4 million. And so they're really good value, really good value. So don't go with the most expensive mentor in the world, which is you. And really importantly, is if you do pick a mentor, it has to be a mentor who's doing deals now. Not someone who I've made this mistake before. I've employed someone who's got an amazing portfolio, really wealthy, but they stopped investing like 10 years ago. They built all their money and they're now living off the proceeds of that investing and teaching. And the problem is they're not current. They have to be current, they have to be doing deals now. So this is last month. 5 properties, very distressed vendor. Josh, what I didn't ask you, and I still don't know, is how did the vendor find out about you?
So the vendor found out about me through someone that I was in the WhatsApp group with. So they...
Is this like an online? How did you get into the WhatsApp group?
It's just fellow property investors.
So you know I said Facebook yesterday, let people know on Facebook. I should have said socials. A bit old fashioned, just say Facebook. Letting people know online that you solve property problems is really valuable. And that's where this came from. This came from people knowing that Josh can solve property problems. And so this guy, quite proactive, he joined some groups, didn't he? Yeah. And let people know, and then someone let Josh know. So this was just online. So it was a referral from someone you didn't know online, basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the vendor's problem was that he needed a lump of money to buy a business essentially, but it was withheld a lot of money, about
He was doing a really big deal, and he was, well, you'll see how much, a fraction short of buying a business. He's a FCA regulated financial advisor, the vendor. So those of you that are thinking, you know, these people don't know what they're doing, they're unsophisticated, you don't get much more sophisticated than a financial advisor. And he was buying another financial services firm, but he was short. He raised the majority of the funds, he was short a little bit of the money. Purchase price was 718,000. It's not expensive properties. There was a £250,000 property in Leicester here. There was 4 spread out around the country. I can't remember where they were.
Grimsby, Doncaster, the one in Grimsby is like 53 grand.
Yeah. Grimsby, really cheap one, like 55 grand, 53 grand. Doncaster, so low value, and then like a nice one in Leicester. Somewhere else?
Up north in near Sunderland.
Near Sunderland, right. So spread out. Valuation of 718. So we just did the deal. We paid market value. So if we're paying market value, what type of deal have we done?
15 years.
5 to 15 years. Control now, pay later. Not B&B, because we're paying market value. You guys already know this. If this vendor contacted you, you could have done exactly what Josh did. Down payment was £38,000. That's all we put into this. And because that's what he needed to do the deal. He needed £38,000. Now, we have a strategy. You want to write this down. That is supposed to look like the old-fashioned sound mixing desk, just like the one Zach has got there. You know where you've got the bass and the treble and you balance the sound? That's exactly what we have here. So, it's called the deal. By the way, if it's on there, what's that mean? It's on the test tomorrow. Equalizer. It's called the deal equalizer. And you basically, when you're doing a control now pay later deal, you always use this. And there's 4 levers, 4 sliders you use to balance the deal. The first one is the purchase price. How much are we paying for this? 718k. Brilliant. Really simple. And that can go up and down. Pay more, we can pay $1 million for it. Or we can pay 500 grand. And then we've got the down payment. How much is the down payment here?
38,000.
Now 38 is really high. 38k. Normally it's 0. You know the 35 properties, the control now pay later wedge number 6 over there. How much was our down payment on that?
1,000.
The down payment, the amount we put into those 35 properties was 50 grand. So 50 grand for 35 properties is a lot less per property than 38 grand for 5. And this one here, the ROI triangle, that was the £66,000 property. We only put £1,000 into that one. And some of them are 0. So 38 grand down payment, and then the next one here is the amount per calendar month that we pay to the vendor. So often we'll pay a monthly amount to the vendor. On this, we're paying nothing. So we keep all the profit from this property portfolio, these 5 properties. And then the final variable is the term. So how long are we buying these properties over? And in this instance, it was up to 13 years, or over 13 years. And so what we've got is a purchase price of 718,000. We're putting £38,000 down, and we're buying it over 13 years. The rent is 3,400 per month. Josh, I've gone off your numbers. I hope these add up. If they don't, Alice is going to tell us. swiftly followed by Adelina. Costs of 1825 a month. So we're paying all of his, these are staying in his name. We've taken an option to buy them. We pay all his mortgages, we pay insurance, letting agents, all of that's factored in. And then the profit is 1675 a month. Does that add up?
1575.
What is it?
1575.
1575. I should have checked mine. I'll sort it later. 1,500 quid a month. We'll just show.
If you put the rent up 100 quid, that'll cover it.
Yeah, well, we will put the rent up, but I'm not doing Mickey Mouse numbers, guys. I'm not going to say, oh, we'll put, the rent will go up. These are all tenanted, they've all got tenants in them. The rent will absolutely go up. But we're keeping all of the profit, all of it. Now, if you look at that as an ROI calculator, triangle, because this is our acid test of whether we do the deal, right? Should we do the deal, shouldn't we do the deal? How much are we putting in? Adelina, you have to do calculator again? Thank you so much. So, how much do we put in, team? 38k. And then how much do we make a month? 575, we'll knock the 100 off. So, Adelina, 38,000 divided by 1,575. So 24.1 months. Oh. We shouldn't do it, right? Here's the funny thing. There's no money down deal. Yesterday I told you that Josh is really good at raising money. And so what he did is he borrowed this. So this is our money. If we put our money in, I would do that all day long, by the way. All day long. So what, it's not 50% return, it's a 49% return, who cares, right? Actually, this is the actual deal. We put none of our own money in. We didn't pay stamp, legals, or the deposit. Instead, Josh, you borrowed 50 grand, didn't you?
Yeah.
How much does the 50 cost a month?
333.
Right. So we borrowed 50k, is that 8%?
Yeah.
At 8% interest, which equals 333 per pound a month, which means that our return isn't 1575. Adelina,
1242.
1,240 per month is what it actually makes us, because we borrowed that in order to put no money in. And now, what's our number of months to get our money back? It's 0. It's an infinite ROI. Who wants to do one of them? All day long. And when I stood here yesterday and I said, well, let's do a deal today and do it in such a way that we can do it tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day. You could do one of these a day until the cows come home. Whereas, even though you could do the 38 grand deal, I need to get better at my spoken line. Even though that's a great deal, brilliant deal. And by the way, you've got £718,000 of properties here on the ocean now, going up in value. If you put 38 grand in today, yes, you're making 1,600, 1,500, which isn't bad, but then you've got to find another 38 grand the next day if you want to do another one. You're probably going to run out. I don't know what your income's like, but I would run out of money if I had to put £38,000 a day into a different deal every day. I would run out of money. I imagine most of us would. And that's why we structured it in the manner we did. And we've now got a very happy vendor who's got his money, bought his business. That's why we did it in 8 days. There is not an investor on this planet, I will take a question, Chris, there's not an investor on this planet that guy could phone up and do that deal with. No one. But he got hold of Josh, or Josh got hold of him, and Josh said, I can't do this in 8 days, but I've got a voucher to JV with my mentor, and my mentor will be able to. Josh came to me and he said, Frank, I've got a motivated vendor, he needs 38 grand, he needs it this week, as quickly as possible, how quickly can you meet him on Zoom? And I said, well, I'm presenting all day, but I'll do it this evening. What time? It was a Monday night, was it?
7 p.m.
We jumped on at 7 p.m. on Zoom. I did a health visit. The health visit is in the VIP vault. You can see me talk to that guy, and 8 days later, we didn't do it in a week, we took a day actually. 8 days later, we had control of these 5 properties. That's how easy it is, guys. But if that vendor, or if you see that vendor's post online, how are you going to solve it? What are you going to do with it? Because they exist all around. Mike to Lindsay. I didn't hear that, sorry.
My question is to Josh, actually.
Yeah.
So, Josh, when you borrow money, did you borrow from
No. So,
By the way, Lindsay, I never lend money at 8%, because any money I get works at 50 or 100 or 200 or 300%. I borrow at 8%.
so this was a gentleman that I know quite well, he's a close family friend, and because I was in need of it so fast, I needed to have it, so I went to him.
And when you show these numbers and you go, look, I'm paying you 333, but I'm going to make 1,500 a month, it's a no-brainer for people. They're like, how are you going to pay me back? Well, I'll get 1,500 a month in 24 months, I'll have it all back. Brilliant. Okay. Oh, Chris. Same question. Brilliant. Good. So, I think, given that Maddy Norwich is in the room, it would be worth having a couple of stages to let you quiz her on how she's gone from a level 1 investor to a level 5 investor and has averaged more than a deal per month for the last decade. Let's give her a massive round of applause. So, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions and then open forum for you to quiz Maddy, who's been in my group program for 10 years now, or nearly 11. So, I'll let them know a little bit, Maddy, about the situation with your sister going to school, the alternate days that you shoot, that you think been homeless for a week or two. Can you put a bit of flesh on the bone in terms of, so I think they understand your attitude to money. I didn't talk about your parents or anything. So just to share with everyone your financial thermometer, which we talked about yesterday. So remember the lines, guys? We've got a comfort line and then you get too low and get too high. Can you give us a picture of your financial thermometer? At what age do you start working together? That's an indelicate question. 41. So she's 41 years old. So some of you will be older than that, some of you will be younger. So she's had 4 decades of a financial thermometer. So what was it? Give us a flavour of the 4 decades.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
So I guess my financial thermometer was very much around doing as much as you could with the little that you had. And that was pretty much it summed up my approach to money. Like, I was really proud of how much we did with the little that we had, and it never really occurred to me that more was possible, I guess. And I was in that kind of previous sort of 2 decades before working with you, I was a stay-at-home mum for 10 years because that was a choice for us. and that fitted with that kind of financial thermometer because I knew that I could do a lot with a little, and I was really proud of that. That's probably where my financial thermometer was set, and the little that we had was a whole lot more than I ever thought I'd ever had, even at that point. So I was already outside my comfort zone.
Well, you owned your own house?
Yeah, we
So-
owned our own house,
so-
and my parents never had that.
No, and you had equity in your house, you were at what, 60% loan to value?
Yeah.
Which is massive if you've
We
been
had
homeless.
2 cars.
So the two cars.
Two cars. I was so excited when my husband bought a Mazda MX-5 convertible the year that I started work as a teacher after being at home for 10
And was that a big deal?
It was a massive deal, yeah. It was so flashy.
It was convertible,
It was really
flashy.
old and classic, but it was, to me, it was mind-blowing.
That's cool. And now you've got, they love their cars. Maddy and Mark go to Goodwood and stuff. What have you got now, Jack?
XKR.
XKR. Yeah. A bit better than the Mazda, I think. I'm not much of a car
I
person.
mean, I'd have the Mazda back if I could, but I'd probably keep it.
As well. I love it. I think this sums up Maddy's attitude. And by the way, many of you in the room, I've spoken to quite a few of you now, have got a far healthier relationship with money than Maddy had when she started with it. Far healthier and far higher financial thermometer. Many of you do. So when you're chatting to Maddy and I'm saying, she's not a superhero, she doesn't wear a cape in the evening and stuff, you're also ahead of her in many respects. Many of you. The thing that sums it up, which just comes to mind, and I've not mentioned this for years, early on, I'm going to say 2 or 3 years into our journey, Maddy was smashing it. She was just taking action and following the system. By the way, those of you who are, I said yesterday, there's no better risk profile here. There's no better bird than any other. They all have pros and cons. You can already tell Maddy's softer spoken than me. She speaks more quietly than me. Even in talking to her, you notice me, I've slowed down now, I've sat down, I'm not pacing and shouting and spitting. Sorry about that, I try not to spit on you. That's what I'm saying. Maddy's down here. So a high S person, so the doves amongst you, the green spots, you are really, really good at following the system. So Maddy, when she came in to becoming a group client of mine, she'd come every month to the training in the library like this, and she'd go, right, I've done this, this, and this, and this. So what happened next? I go, right, now you need to do this, 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 and this. Whereas the Eagles, they come in on day one and they go, I know you've got this system, but I think I can improve it. Follow the system. So, but the Eagles take loads of action and they're like really fast and they're sprinting like bit of data graphic, Nympha Christie like doing the 100 metres in 9 seconds. And Maddy's just like jogging along. She doesn't stop at the end and go, she's jogging along for the whole month. And then comes back and goes, right, where do I go? Oh, keep jogging along. And so a high S, the high S in Maddy's profile means that she just follows the SPI system. The high C, the detail, the owl in Maddy's profile, means that she does it accurately. So she checks the numbers, she checks the detail. I can honestly tell you, I don't know how many properties I have. And I don't know how many tenants I have. But Maddy knew hers instantly. That's a difference. By the way, that's a benefit. That's better that Maddy knows that I don't. That makes sense. So everyone's disc profile is different. So she was following the system first 2 or 3 years. You don't know what I'm saying. And she was really getting the results that people get when they follow the system. And I invited her to an event. The NEC in Birmingham, if memory serves. You do know, yeah. So we're at the NEC, and there's a team of us, similar to this. I've been doing this a lot for years now. And we're having dinner at the end of the night. All the clients have gone. I think we're doing an expo actually, where we have a company, people come past and decide if they want to. I used to sell franchises. Interestingly, now you can come and work with me for a year. Then, what was that, 10 years ago, you could only work with me in my group environment, if you signed up for 5 years, it was £60,000 worth. Minimum, in fact it was between £60,000 and £70,000 minimum investment to work with you. You could only come onto a 5-year program. And so we were selling 5-year franchises to do SPI. And Maddy was on the stand with me with I think 3 or 4 other teams. Anyway, we sat at dinner and we were all eating dinner, and Maddy's like checking her watch, and I'm like, everything all right, Maddy? She's like, yeah, can someone give me a lift to the train station? It's like a 10-minute drive away. And like, we were all eating dinner and we were like chatting, and there were a couple of bottles of wine open and stuff. And I was like, just get a cab. And she like looked really awkward, and she's like, 40-year-old or 44-year-old woman. She'd never had a taxi, is that right?
That's true.
She'd never taken a taxi in her life because her mile was really expensive. And for someone who makes money go as far as possible, she'd never taken, I don't know if Uber existed 10 years ago, never taken an Uber, never had a taxi. And I was like, just let's call a cab. I don't know who called it, I think someone called it for her, and I was like, it's cool, you can expense it, like I'll pay for it. Like, and she called her first taxi. Now, I'm pretty sure most of you have jumped in a cab at some point. And that just shows that your financial thermometer is higher than where Maddy was at. So that's where Maddy was coming from. Never had invested before. No one in the family had ever invested before. No landlords, no properties other than her own home. And so that's where she was coming from. Give us a flavour, Maddy, of your lifestyle now, your financial thermometer now, and including